I don't know, she said, oh my God, she said, used to my yard would look like a lake. You boys, I bought the tile, y'all put it in a long time ago, and it took care of that yard problem, and get that water, and it gets it down there, and runs right down that drain, right down to the side lots.
Did you go ahead and measure it?
I did, yeah.
Is that the gas line there?
That's the guy said, I didn't see any water, and I went my yard.
Yeah,
Well, the drain's on the other side, runs in front of the clinic, goes down Independence Lane. It's almost full, but it's carrying the water.
I tell you, Jay Munson called me about 4:12. Got me on bed. He wanted to open up a place to put people in. I called John and opened up West and Hunter Center. And I get out, I'm checking the storm drains over here. This whole thing's flooded. And that water they put over here, all that trash and everything. So I got down and still top and drug him in, open that back up.
Yeah, you put a wire mesh, wire screen there, didn't you?
Yeah, it's yours, Dave. And I still feel over at the sword.
Don't look like my dad. Yeah. Be on the lookout.
It was tough. How are you?
Well, hey,
Wayne, how are you?
hey, Rick,
Everybody ready?
Stop calling me again. We need to talk about it now, what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Let's start out.
Yeah, you doubled it now, hadn't you?
No.
Are you ready to
No,
start?
that's the way you do it.
Oh, it is? Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, you have your reports from your board committees, department heads, packets. Item number 1 in administration, declaring April 5th.
Yeah.
Item number 2 on the agenda is Campbell County Lions Club Carnival, first week in May, I'm sorry, Miss Sue.
Envision them.
While we're on this subject, I drove through the parking lot today, and I noticed that either from the rain or from the four-wheelers, we got a lot of mud out there.
This water's backed up in our house.
We need to wash that off before they get.
Yeah.
Clean it up. Did you hear me? We'll wash the parking lot off for you.
Yeah, well, John pretty well cleans it up too. Well, Angel, you know.
John hadn't been sick, had he?
He was diagnosed with colon cancer, and he was dead 4 months later.
Him and Randy Spratt, and I heard Napa Auto Parts, my friends, because Jeff Pearl always worked on his motor homes and stuff. He brought me here.
Yeah.
And Jeff told Randy he died, and Randy told me he died. He was such a good guy.
John was wonderful. He was only 49.
He's still a kid.
He was just a it sounded like that we were golden for that.
That's what I thought. I was up for us.
But it didn't happen. I know what group did get it, but I think it comes through yearly. I don't know. They kind of want the whole thing to be done. You know, the way she put it was just like one. But I think they want the whole thing, a bigger piece of the pie, you might say.
Well, if you're going to please
reminder and the insurance.
Yes, she and I have already talked in regards to that.
There's a few kids in wheelchairs.
Right.
They come on and watch some other kids play, and they ain't no way for them to play.
So,
Yeah, we could try again, but I don't, you know, there's so many
First time in a long
people
time.
submit for that grant.
so we'll have this on the
I can
agenda.
talk to Bill and Don and see if there's something else out there.
We can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice, because those kids need something. So is the carnival okay?
Yeah, we'll have it on the agenda for the vote on.
Thank you, ma'am.
That'd be good.
April 6th.
Tuesday night.
Next Tuesday. Next Tuesday.
It's a consensus. It's a
I
consensus,
get the
yes.
signs put
I'm
up.
gonna miss John, because he always give me popcorn. I love popcorn. I found I had cancer. Hit my tongue.
Yeah,
Popcorn.
Tell her it's going fast.
we all miss them.
It'll pass, we're all.
Okay, you all ready to move on?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have to stay here and move back.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, stay right there.
It's even worse.
Item number 3, Friends of Campbell County, animals requesting donation. Friends of Campbell County has applied for a grant to spay neuter feral cats and cats in the LaFollette area only. And I think they sent all of you a letter or something requesting
We always give our discretion $100 a piece.
that's normally what you $100.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with that. We're all good with it.
When you gonna take care of that for us?
You all will have to sign a paper with Terry giving Terry permission to do
It's not something that has to go through next week's meeting.
No.
No.
The next thing, item number 4 under administration is Celebrate Campbell County Fireworks Show. Mayor, I think this was something that you was involved with also. Lanston has actually sent a packet out to you all in regards to this. If y'all remember, they've done multiple shows within the county. And the city's contribution for that was $3,700, and they are asking for that again this year. They actually didn't get to do the show last year due to the COVID, but I have put in your packet all the information, and that's something that we will add to the agenda if you all are okay with.
How much are they asking for?
$3,700, and that's for 2 7-minute shows. One right here at Liberty Park, and one down at Woodson's. Okay.
Hey, Stan,
Yes.
where do they want to take that money from? It's not in the budget.
We don't want to pay.
Discretionary. We have discretionary money.
I thought it was good that much.
We still got Terry's salary.
No, 37.
Terry,
Oh.
we still got your salary.
Well, we got the animals taken
Terry,
care of.
where have we taken it in the past?
I don't believe we ever done that.
Why we
Yeah, we
look?
have. Terry.
We done it
One time.
Yeah,
one time.
We did?
yeah.
Once you see where we took it
Yeah,
from
I'll just
last
have to
time.
find out. Yeah.
Okay.
We done it last year.
Can you find us a place to take it from
Last year.
and
I'll look and see, but I don't remember that.
get a stand?
It was
and
last
put it
year.
on the
It
agenda
was.
next
She
week?
said, "Put it on the window out there, so I'm seeing shooting fireworks up there on Depot Street."
Okay, item number 5 on the agenda is discussion on painting the back canopy on the old post office building. I talked to several of you in regards to this, and you've looked at it. It's gonna cost an additional $1,500 to paint, to scrape, and to actually paint that. And that's something that you all may want to consider, since you all painted the windows and everything, the doors and the windows and everything on it.
That's labor, $1,500 labor, we have to buy paint on it.
That's correct.
Is it the same gentleman that done windows?
Yes. Done a good job with the windows.
It definitely needs it. I know when I looked
Yeah,
at
they
it.
take it.
It needs to be scraped. It's just hanging down.
Break it off.
Break it off.
I'm in agreement.
The next thing on the agenda, you all are going to have to ratify the salary for the interim city administrator effective February the 27th, 2021. We talked about that right after the last meeting. The next item on the agenda is approval of hiring Jeff Duncan as a codes enforcement officer at a salary of $33,000. Did Jeff make it?
No, certainly not.
It's supposed to work.
He probably is, but he has a lot of catch-up stuff to do. I think that's all. The next item on the agenda is discussion on codes issues. And Mark, I think you asked for this to be put on there, and it was in regards to locking the dumpsters and abandoned buildings.
That's exactly, we had this discussion a year ago, if not longer. And at that time, everybody was in agreement that we had asked Reed to prepare it, and some other things had gotten in the way. So I wanted to revisit it. We've got a lot of abandoned buildings, both commercial and residential. They're unlocked. The doors are standing wide open. I don't know if anybody's living in them or not. We've got kids running around, especially springtime now. They're going to be out playing, and these are dangerous. They need to be locked up. It needs to be the responsibility of the person who owns the building to secure it. If they don't secure it, we've got to come up with some reprimand, or if we fix it, we secure it, send them the bill. I don't know. The same with dumpsters. We've got people dumpster diving. And trash is going everywhere that it's really, especially cardboard. We've been pulling cardboard out. And we do have some people actually living in them. It needs to be the responsibility of the person renting the dumpster to keep that dumpster locked 24/7. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Speaking of dumpsters, I was going down the 4-line the other day to some deep, right there at LaFollette Monument. There's a big cardboard box about as big as that chest over there in the road, in between 2 lanes of traffic, cars was dodging. I passed it, backed up, put my lights on flash, and I drove down the road. I thought, well, if I put it in the ditch, it's going to blow back out. I took the part and put it on one of the grave markers, and told the girl, I said, tell Gary Bird and Mary to get rid of that box. She said, he ain't working today.
It's just, I had spoken with several business owners. They suggested this. As far as the abandoned homes and the businesses, that's just the right thing to do for protection of the community.
But people are living in abandoned houses.
And
I've seen them.
they may be. This
I mean, I've seen
isn't.
it. I'm going out watching.
What are they gonna do about the bailout house? They gonna tear it down?
I hate
The
to
front
see
door's wide open.
I hate to see them tear it down, they probably will. It's dirty.
I mean, the front door's wide open. I'm sure they're staying in there.
And once we get a new codes guy in here, we'll probably need to have that very discussion.
Probably on the,
That's
what you're talking about too. We're ready to redo our codes ordinance.
That's it. We grew up there.
Now, how do we go forward with this?
Probably trying to have him at the next workshop, bring him back on next month and have him here just discuss with
Right next to the chapter.
Or we can do it.
Can you, well, you're gonna be one that drives forward.
Yeah, I'm saying I should come in behind
You can see it.
Let's get ready for the next workshop, we'll be over, either accept it or add to it, take away.
I'm just like you, I get a lot of calls from, especially dumpsters on North Tennessee, and we've even got problems right here at our own back door with people getting those dumpsters.
I had somebody stand on my deck up when it was before that. It's always, you know.
It creates a huge garbage problem because people drag stuff out, they leave it out, the wind gets a hold of it, it blows into the ditches and stops up the culverts, we have floods, you know, that's.
If you don't believe that, you should have drove around yesterday and looked.
So, you'll get to get
That's
that.
right, we'll do that. We'll be good in March.
What did you say, Mr. Hospital?
Okay.
Come spring, when I come in out to do my mowing, and I happened to look under the deck, there was bringing a sausage can, a Spam can, and some plastic forks and spoons, and somebody'd been under a stand, I guess.
I didn't say it's gonna serve you, Dave. It's gonna serve you. I don't know what you're about.
Okay, moving on to number 10, under administration, discussion of wet weather conveyance up here on East End LaFollette. We've had 2 special workshops in regards to this wet weather conveyance, and as you all know, the last folks that we met with, it would have been a 5-year process of taking care of this situation up here. My recommendation to you is, if you're going to do this, we need to move forward with it, get it done. But one of the first things that we need to do is get easement rights from each one of those individuals that own.
Not entry rights, but easement rights.
Easement rights, that's correct. I mean, we have to have easement rights. That way we can maintain this thing from now on instead of fixing it one time. Suppose we have a property owner for sale, say they sell, and the property owner says, no, you're not coming on my property, then what?
How complicated is that, Rick?
Need survey first.
Of every property?
What's that?
Of the ditch or every property?
Just the ditch, or whatever you plan on.
Okay, the area that we need
And we just
access.
have to go to the individual property. We have to do a title search on every one of them.
Right.
And then we figure out who the owners are and lien holders and everything.
There's
Just work from
15
there.
property owners, Stacy. I've got a list of them at the office. I think it's 15. Okay.
That would be, your survey would pick up on all of them, and so we just start working it from there.
So the first thing we probably need to do is get that wet weather conveyance survey.
Exactly. And so then we would record all the easements, and that when we talk about any future owners, it'd be a record, and it would just go down.
This could well be over $5,000. We're gonna have to put it up a bid.
It will be if it's over 4,000, maybe you will.
What do we do? Ask a local surveyor what their estimate would be.
Yeah, we'll give them
We've already appropriated money for those, at least 2 culverts up there, those box culverts. So, let me ask you a question. If we get this 5-year grant approved in the future, is that something we can recover this money?
Our answer was no.
Okay,
That's the same question.
okay.
Do we need to be in communication with those landowners when we start this process to say this is where we're starting, this is what we're going to be doing?
We really have, that's the proper way to do it, but we really have no choice but to take care of this. Hopefully, everybody will go along with it.
We don't, and one of the things that was brought to my attention, our concern is this wet weather conveyance. We're not there to put in tiles, we're not there to dig ditches, we're there to work on this wet weather conveyance.
Open the channel.
Absolutely, because I know it was brought up to me that some were promised that we had put in tiles and connected to the wet weather conveyance. That will not be part of what this process is. Our goal is that wet weather conveyance.
Keep the natural spring ditches open. We've always done it ever since I've been at the city.
It's caught up with us now.
Yes, it has.
We hadn't done it since I left the city in 06. It hadn't been cleaned out.
But we're gonna have problems in other parts of the city too. Whatever we do now is gonna set a precedent.
We already started. If you notice your stuff.
Unfortunately, the others are not wet weather conveyances. Be a little more difficult.
Yes,
Now, Stan, tell you, I'll tell you wherever Cave and St. Croix is, in the seal of
that's true.
Yeah.
That is true, but we will have this on the agenda for, I mean, if we're going to do the surveying first,
Give us a cost estimate for the meeting.
I will do that. But we will have this on the agenda, okay?
Then I'll move to professional service.
It would do.
I think you had to, you would have to bid it.
You don't have to do it.
So who do we have, Cannon County?
I don't think it's, you know, an engineer, you know, Pressure Dwight usually does.
I would choose whoever's got the most readily available information, then they start from scratch.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Okay, the next item on the agenda, discussion of core drilling down on Jacksonville Pike, the property that,
Is ours.
18.5 acres. Yes, that is ours, yes. I know you all have talked about it. In your packet, I think we got a cost on actually
Topo on the property
topo on the property.
and restake it. I don't think we need to restake it though.
I don't think we do either. And then I do have the appraisal back on that.
Send-
We did.
No, we just-
Oh, I'll send it to you.
No.
Don't get that.
It was a cost of $2,500 to do a topo on it, and I think the core drilling come back, instead of actually sending our excavator down there, I think he'd come back at $2,500 too.
Let's change from core drilling to drilling, exploratory drilling. It's $2,500 a day plus mobilization. And I think it can be done in a day, and all we're doing is profiling the rock. If there's rock there, if there's not rock there, that's outstanding.
How soon can we get through that?
I think within that week.
The gentleman that I spoke with, who is the only person that's got a drill in this area, a small drill, said that would notice he'd be there in a couple of days. Now, I hope to have the topo ready to go so that we could, you know, create a map of what we're doing. I could do that anyway. But Tony, Crutchfield Surveying, said that he was very busy and it may be quite a while before the topo could be completed. They're using LiDAR to create this topographic drawing. Apparently the hospital had told someone that they had a core drilling done,
They told me, Mark Kane told me
and that there was a lot of rock in there. If that's true, we need to profile that rock
That's correct.
just for future information, in case somebody wants to come in and develop it, they know what they're up against and they don't have to spend that money to do that.
That was even as the advisement when we done the
That's
appraisal.
correct.
This is something that, you know, Larry Oliver's always mowed that for the hay.
Yes.
And that little boy, and now the cattle business, and Jimmy Pierce is wanting to mow it for the hay. I got no problem with it, they've always done a good job.
That was always left to you to get whoever to mow it anyway.
As long as we don't have to mow it.
That's exactly
We got too much to know now, but Jimmy Pierce, I'm gonna let Jimmy Pierce mow it.
But I'm sure Terry's gonna ask where you're gonna come up with this, what is it, $5,000 each to pay for this drilling and this topo.
I think I've got money in the budget in a certain, in architecture and engineering for that.
Okay.
I think so. That
I
shouldn't be a
didn't want to
problem.
leave you out there too, not know where to get
Yeah.
money.
He wasn't
I think
gonna stay out there, he already has his hand up.
Oh, Benny. Okay. Okay, moving on, so I'll have that on the agenda, both of those for approval, okay? We'll move on down to the police department, approving of promoting Jamie Hall to full-time animal control, level 2 patrol officer, currently part-time, at a salary of $32,457.40, effective 4/10/2021.
We've all already agreed to that.
Yes, yes. Next item under police department discussion, purchasing an animal control truck. Wayne, I think you asked me to put that on there, and we actually we worked through the source well to get a quote, but they can't get a brand new truck right now.
There's reports where the new automobiles are gonna be kind of scarce.
18 months.
Wow, that doesn't surprise me.
And making sure used automobile prices are gonna soar.
Yes.
Can Sourcewell get us a used one?
I don't think they deal in
New on it.
It's new on it.
It's all new.
So let's spec a truck and put it out for bid. Doesn't mean we have to take anyone.
Well, we gotta have a 3/4 ton truck. It's, the bed's big enough to scoop that big box in the bed. And secure it.
Can we not grow with it? Can we start with a smaller box and a smaller truck right now? Don't we have one available?
Well, it's my understanding we only have the one box.
Yeah.
Now, what we're utilizing is the truck, the small truck, and we've got a temporary box that we attach to
So
the truck.
she can go to work and we're still in business.
She can work and we're doing,
So we won't do this.
but we can't do multiple animals, just one at a time.
Can't do big animals either.
You can't do visions either.
Cannot.
They caught
expedite
one,
that
they
place
caught
from
one that they couldn't get in the open.
They break down. Stan did that, didn't he?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll spec a truck and we'll get some quotes. Under Recreation Department, approval to hire Cannon and Cannon and Studio 4 Designs for architectural and engineering services for indoor recreation facility. Johnny, you here? I've actually put in your packet a quote from Cannon and Cannon. And as you all know, anything over $25,000, you have to have an engineer and architect.
Was this in, recreation budget when they planned this, when they asked for the money, was the engineering included in the amount of money?
No, it's not.
This is in addition to the money that we provided.
Yes.
What was the quote? Start there.
$10,000. It could be under $10,000. He said could be a little over, but he looked for it to be under 10,000.
I don't think we have a choice.
So,
We can come down to, gotta get permission to come to the building.
pending that approval, everything's been submitted, but we're pending that approval.
Okay. You see a problem with it?
I know. Okay. So we will have that on the agenda. So are you all want to take that out of those capital outlay funds that you had, that you appropriated the $200,000 for?
Do we have any left?
Terry, do we have? Yes.
Fine with that.
Is it 10,000 for the architect, or what about Cannon, is that all together?
It's all together, it's all together.
Architectural and engineering, yes.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is, under recreation, is use of property agreement between Indiana Avenue Baptist Church and the city of LaFollette. You all have to vote to approve that. We've actually, we've contacted E.E. Hill & Son on the insurance on it. We got everything covered on that aspect of it. It's just a use agreement of the property in the rear for wild practice.
Will there be any improvements?
And we built that when I was at street park. Mark, I helped build that when I was at street park.
It was underwater the other day, but
Yeah.
how many improvements, how many dollars improvements we're gonna do?
I don't know, I didn't say. But all that was probably.
That's mainly just used for soccer
Yes.
practice, right?
Oh, it's a great field.
Yeah.
Casey, you was there, we done it, were you, Casey?
No.
But the church owns it, is
I think Andy was.
That
It
flat
was.
area back behind the church.
behind their parking lots, okay.
That's where the creek.
Okay, now we're down to the ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2021-01, ordinance abandoning portions of an unopened street located within North 15th Street. Y'all have the ordinance on that. The next one, y'all have any questions on that?
Is that the 15th or 14th?
14th.
14th Street. It's the one up here with Jessica Roberts and Carol's, I think. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wayne King's mom here, the one prospect number 12.
You looked at that?
Yes, yes, I did.
15th Street, that's it.
The next ordinance is ordinance 2021-02, adopting and enacting codification for revision of ordinance of the city of LaFollette. Being the first reading on it. That's something that actually should have been done many years ago, is that not correct? I think the last time
At
we
least
done
when we
it was
did
in
the
2000.
codification, yeah.
That's in 2000. This will, what this is going to do, it's going to enact all of your ordinances that you've passed for the last 20 years. It's going to put it into your actual new code, is what it is.
Lucy was the mayor when it was done.
That's true. That is true.
I got something else, Dan. This.
I've got one more thing.
Go ahead.
Terry, you had something on, may had a resolution on refinancing?
Well, we're looking at trying to refinance our old capital outlay note. We'll save some money, but we're still working that out. I probably won't have a resolution maybe by Tuesday, but would probably be the next month. I just wanted to mention it tonight. If it's okay with the council, we're going to refinance that.
Absolutely. Should. Okay.
We're good with it, Terry.
This James Everett sent me a bill today. You know, if we owe him, let's pay him. Because years represent us in the city. We talk to that guy. It was $2,800. Now he's charging $300 for late charges. We're not paying the thing.
What is it?
It's the church flooded about 2 years ago. It's James Everett. What's his name?
I thought we agreed to tell him to just sue us, try to collect it.
I don't feel that we owe him a dime there. We tried to pay him, he refused to take the money, and then he came back, he didn't follow any of the requirements that we gave to him, came back requesting more money, threatened to sue us. I mean,
Who's the man we sent the check to?
$500 would be all that we owe that man if we owed him a dime.
What do you think, Reed?
Yeah, I talked to him, actually, he called me the other day too, and I told him, I said, well, we elected, I said, we're not elected just to stand by what they had already offered you. I think the last time we talked, we had asked him for supporting documentation, still haven't received that. Yeah.
And he will not provide.
He won't provide it, but he did kind of enlighten on what they did, and it was properties that are not owned by the city.
That's correct.
They were Chet properties maybe, or I don't know. They weren't owned by the city. That's the part that puts us in a tough spot. Is he did work on properties we don't own.
Why would you say we
Legally, you can't pay them if they're not even.
That's our problem. And, that's kind of where we were stuck with it. But he did enlighten on what the properties he did work on. One was a church, maybe? Did he work on the church?
Worked on it. If he did anything in the 4 hours he was here,
Well, this was
it
days after.
would have been Chet's charge.
That's where he's a contact, isn't it?
I just don't understand why we send him if he did
They're not
it.
gonna pay him.
individual?
Yeah, an individual or a private.
Well, that's the problem we have, is that, if he worked on city property, obviously we would be stuck with it, no matter who brought him out here or whatever.
We guys want to offer the $500 back to him, whatever we sent him a check for that he refused to take.
No, we sent him a
I'm okay
check
with that.
for $400, Mark.
400.
We sent for 400, but he has not cashed it, it's still outstanding. It's not cleared the bank.
How long do you let that stay until you cancel that check?
Well, the bank, sometimes the bank sends him through a year and a half, so it's still outstanding.
So your books are okay?
Yeah.
My recommendation to you is, I think the city has done their due diligence in trying to resolve this issue. I think we've done everything that we can possibly do. I think we tried to pay the man wouldn't take it.
The state has done their due diligence.
Exactly, and I think it is a dead issue at this point. If he wants his money that bad, if he thinks we owe him that money, there's a court of law.
Well, you know the check they was talking about, he called me and said he was gonna cash that check. And I was in Barbara's office, and I called him back, I said, "Buddy, I've never signed a check." Because Barbara tell you, I'll go around signing anywhere from 20 to 100 checks at a time. If there's a question about one, I asked Barbara about it. I said, "I've never signed you a check." And he pulled it out, he said, "No, you didn't sign it." He said, Lonnie Wilson signed it. I said, "I don't know anything about it."
Well, he didn't satisfy the comptroller's office
No, he did not.
with anything, and they talked to you.
I was there, and I was interviewed by the comptroller's office.
The comptroller told me he gave them the same thing he gave us, which was nothing.
He actually let them look in the file.
No, they wouldn't have filed.
He wouldn't let me go get them.
Where did you meet the comptroller at? Knoxville?
They called me, and yes, in Knoxville.
He called me here.
So,
She did.
is this something we're gonna vote on again in the regular meeting Tuesday night?
It's up to you, you can, it doesn't need a vote. if
It
you don't
doesn't need a vote?
No, I've already
Okay,
told
We're
him.
gonna leave it just the way it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Or do you wanna send him
I don't care to call him,
you wanna send him a letter?
I will.
In writing
I will.
and offering what Mark said?
Yeah.
And let's get it resolved.
He's got the check in his hand. All he's got to do is cash it.
I'll do that.
We'll send him something in writing and tell him that's
That's
our
it.
stopping point.
Okay, we'll do it. I'll take care of it.
I got a couple of things. We had a flood Saturday night. It was another very unusual rain. Wasn't near as bad as the one we had last June. Downtown LaFollette fared pretty good, except for when the river came out of the banks. The western part of LaFollette didn't fare so well. We had some business that got flooded. Blackney got flooded. A building on Hacker's property that's
Absolute.
Absolute Fitness got flooded. North Craft Boats got flooded. Everybody's wanting to find out what's going on. They want to stop the flooding problem. Now, luckily again, LaFollette did great. Downtown LaFollette did outstanding. I don't know how much rain they got compared to what we got. But walking the flooded areas yesterday and again today, they've got the same problem we have behind the church. We've got old waterways that have been used for 50, 100 years. I don't know. I haven't been around that long. But they need to be addressed. They need to be cleaned up. Now, do we want to go spending good money after bad? We've got a lot of development in the western part of LaFollette. It's a lot of roof space, a lot of asphalt. Some of them have been built in accordance with the storm prevention plans with the retention ponds. These retention ponds are 20-year storm retention ponds, not 50-year storm. It starts at the top of the mountain, and it'll go from the LaFollette Eye Clinic to Toe String Road is where the study needs to be done. We need to, if we have some extra money laying around, which I think that we will, we're going to do in the near future, we're already, we need to consider doing a hydrology study with a model to determine where we stand, where the problems are, and what needs to be done in the future. Is it something we can attack all at once? Probably not. Is it something that we could utilize to discuss with these folks with a 5-year plan? Probably so. Cost estimate, just for the plan, I'm throwing up for $40,000 to $80,000. It's something, it's a permanent fixture. Every time you add another piece of property with 1 square foot of asphalt, it goes into the calculations. And everything, the model changes what it is, the model, so that you can be building with it. I think we should consider that, and we're going to end up having to do it for the entire city for this.
Yeah, I was telling Stan years ago, Sunday morning, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, to Vivian Lowry's on Flood Hills Drive, her basement flooded again, and the water's come up to her rafters, and her floor rafters.
You've watched this for years. What's causing that, Mike?
Well, up there at Ben Beard's, the water off the mountain up there next to Ben Beard's dad's house, there's a ditch goes in between where Ben Beard had his trailer. It's filled in over the years, it's not been cleaned out.
Maintenance.
It's not up there, you know, where it flooded on Massachusetts Avenue where Key got hit on that bicycle. It's not there. It's a no one on back. The water there comes in behind the street park. You got one comes out in front of it and one behind it. This here comes down Glenn Jones's backyard, and out from the vehicles into our basement.
We've got basically, besides Big Creek, we've got 4 major watershed areas with conveyances, whether we have weather or not, that drain the entire city. They all head south, and they all end up in Norris Lake. Now, there's obvious things that need to be done. The ditches need to be opened, they need to be widened, the vegetation needs to be removed. But we could go around and we could do spots of this and not really improve anything. We need to know where the beginning is, and we need to know where the end is.
And these buildings you're talking about are going to continue to flood, because I don't know how, why, or anything. They build them in such low areas.
There's a lot of mistakes that have been made over the years, and it's our job to try to ratify these mistakes. And the job of the future council, whoever may be here 5 years from now, they need to, if we have this model prepared for them, it'd be much easier for the planning commission to work with whoever the developer may be on a project to determine if it's feasible. Can we do this and not flood the people downstream?
Another thing too, Mark, we've been years trying to get this creek dredged. That creek needs to be dredged deeper.
You talk which creek? Oh, this creek?
Behind City Hall.
Big Creek.
I walked that today too. You've been down the walking trail?
Yeah.
It didn't take the left turn it was supposed to.
No.
Unfortunately, if it has water running through it, you've got a lot more hoops you have to jump through than, of course, at the church with the wet weather conveyance. That's very simple. T-Deck said do what you have to do to make it work. Well, with this profile that they're the model that they're going to create, we can plan ahead with TDA probably going to be associated with those, with TDEC, Army Corps of Engineers, whoever else may be affiliated with this, to plan these projects. It's a foundation, it's a starting point, and I really think that we need to discuss this seriously.
Now, back in the 60s and 70s, when I come to work for the city, we used to clean these ditches up with dozers and backhoes.
That's what needs to happen now.
Well, you can't get the backhoe and dozer in because of the oil stuff.
If it's a wet weather conveyance, you can. If it's a stream, you cannot. You're correct. You have to get special permits to do those things.
But
You
you
know,
can
right back here, where the 2 creeks come together, that drastically slows the water down, because one of them has to make a dead right turn, and you know, it can't get in for the water in the other branch.
If you notice, once you pass the Indiana Avenue Baptist Church, they don't have any more problems down there. That's a low spot in there that's allowed it to jump the banks.
Yeah.
And there's just like they put up the berm here in the parking lot back in the 60s. That might be the only resolution to that down there. Of course, it's not hurting anybody right now, but eventually that bank's going to be gone. It's eating it out quickly.
And we did that back in the 70s.
Then the bank behind Rich Price's house will start eroding. So there's going to have to be something done eventually with that.
That, what you're talking about is going to have to happen back here, South Massachusetts, down there.
I'll agree.
I mean, you know, that water, I mean, it just gets out of the banks every time it comes hard running.
Well, the road needs to be raised and larger culverts put, reroute the ditch into those culverts. Again, that's a wet weather conveyance would do anything they want to do.
Can somebody like Canada can do the hydrology study?
They can. It's going to be so expensive. And it being a professional service, at what point do you look for a better price? I mean, Canada does a great job for us, but we've got to have taxpayers' money for it. Should we consider putting it out to bid to get the best bang for the buck?
That, in my opinion, that comes under part of our deal of cleaning the city up. I mean, you know,
it's an ongoing, never-ending process.
And I mean, you know, we've made a little progress, but we're a long way from where we need to be cleaning it up.
Well, we're getting to where little 20-year rains are damaging people's property, whereas used to 50-year rains didn't damage people's property. And it's going to continually get worse unless we do something.
I think we do need to get started on it, and I think we'll get started when we approve this wet weather that's up here and get part of that going with what we've already appropriated out of capital outlay.
If we want to take on a project this size, we're going to have two choices. We're going to have to do it in-house, we're going to have to set it out. We need to look at the cost value of buying more equipment and hiring more people in the street department, because this is not a 30-day job.
No, Casey's stretched pretty thin
It's
right now.
It's a 3 to 5 year job with the proper equipment and men. Casey can do it, save us a lot of money, and guess what, when you're done, you sell the equipment. Just things to think about. How do we approach this? And none of us are engineers, we can't write the specifications for a bid. Don't we have an open-end contract with them?
That's what we've got Cannon and Cannon.
Maybe we speak to them and get a cost estimate and just start from there. And then if it's extreme, then we say, hey, Cannon, we're going to put this out for bid. You might write a bid. Let's go.
You were down there and Stan was there and me behind the local restaurant there, Absolute Fitness. To the left, there's a little tile that goes completely under the parking lot in the lumber yard at Potter's and goes out toward the end of Wilson's Mall. That pipe, it was coming up out of the ground, and it couldn't carry anything. And it's a drain pipe. It's supposed to be a culvert, I'm sure.
Well, you've got to maintain drainage systems, and nobody's doing maintenance.
But that's a long stretch across through there.
That's a long ways.
Yeah. And that was just bubbling up. It couldn't go anywhere.
Well, we've got a problem in Dawson Lane. We've still got a problem on Brantley Lane. If we're I guess Casey's going to try to pump those out tomorrow. We can't depend on mechanical pumping systems. We're going to have to come up with solutions. It's virtually on Dawson Lane, virtually in that guy's house.
Brantley Lane flooded in?
His truck tire in his carport was that deep in water. Today, it hasn't gone down one inch.
Is that something you can get started?
I can get it a few.
Maybe get him to put just a presentation together. We'll have a special call meeting. Let him tell us what he thinks we need and what he thinks it's going to cost, and we'll go from there.
Well, you know, Mark Brantley Lane never finished. He put the high-speed bridge in down there.
I'm going to walk that again tonight because it has not gone down an inch either, and I'm going to go down it to the bridge and determine how deep you'd have to put a pipe in order to relieve that problem. You're not going to relieve it all. According to the neighbors, it's flooded for years, just not this high. There's something that's created this.
I was there yesterday morning. It wasn't flooded. We had water between David Wilson's and Tony Trader's house.
So it lacks a foot getting in Tony's house right now.
Get up in that David Wilson and Tony.
He didn't get in their house, but it's
Lacked about a foot. And the work that Casey did was, they did a great job. What I think has happened is the fall, all the leaves came down, and the small sticks that did fall off the trees, and that water came so fast it pushed it all into that hole, and it's still a hole. But you can't put a machine in there until it drains down. Was it 13 feet, 15 feet?
It's level.
We kind of got a plan of what needs to happen on that. Now, Dawson don't have a clue. I don't know how to fix that.
It's just in a hole.
Yeah, it's a hole.
There's a cave down there, Dawson Lane.
We know the people something about trying to get it fixed, but it's going to take a while.
Well, if there's a cave, we need to open that cave up. Whoever owns the property needs to allow us to do that. If there's a affecting the property.
Did you walk up to it?
The what?
Have you walked up in that cave?
I don't know where the cave is. You talking about on the west side of the current pond, up over the hill? The bottom of that is above the water table on Dawson. What happens is that water comes to that cave, it can't go in, it's going across the hill and flooding Dawson, or flooding it worse. So yes, we need to open that up and see if we can get the next rain occurrence to go in. And actually, Casey's going to take a 6-inch pump, open it up, and prove that the water will go down.
Whose property's the cave on?
Is that Matt Banker?
Yeah.
I don't know, Mr. Tucker.
She's a good lady.
It's actually water coming from Lowe's. We're getting all of it.
That's what this hydrology
Comes out of the 4-lane.
Absolutely.
That's part of the water we're getting.
They've got a program, several programs, but one called LiDAR that's available to them now. And they can do a topo in that entire area. It actually exists already. So within a few inches of what it actually is, excluding the grass and the trees, which is remarkable. It's almost scary what they can do.
Well, you know, there's a holding pond behind the buildings in there, right? You know the case, right? There's a holding pond back there.
We don't have any flooding problems on the north side of 63. They keep the water over there all they want to. Just on the south side.
So much for a holding pond cleaned up.
I think that you're gonna take care of that.
Yes.
Now, I've got one more thing. I'm full of it tonight, but brush pickup. This is a touchy subject, and I've had many discussions since I've been here for 2.5 years. We've got to lay down the rules for brush pickup. My contention is the current rules say that if you have a contractor cut the trees down, that the city can't pick it up. I don't know if that's state law, but if it is, I won't argue with it. Let's say that you had an 80-year-old mother that didn't have a great son, and she had to hire contractors to come in and clean her trees up out of her yard. They clean them up. She paid them for cutting the trees and piling them next to the road. That woman is a taxpayer. She can't get out there and cut the trees herself. She hired it done. She should not be punished again by having to hire it to be hauled out. The city should pick that brush up.
That's why you pay city taxes. That's part of the tax dollar.
Now, that's the most simple analogy that I can give you. Do you all agree or disagree with that analogy?
Did it used to be that way? Did it change?
I don't know.
Does anybody,
Stan, you've been around a long time.
did I just open a can of worms?
Well, I mean, yeah, I have. And here's the thing. If you had brush out on the side of the road, the truck went through and picked it up, they didn't knock on your door and ask you, do you have a tree service to cut that tree? And I don't think they're going to do it today. I mean, you gotta use common sense. Taxpayers, they pay tax money to the city for services. That is a service to pick up their brush. I mean, as far as you're talking about commercial tree services, when you call a commercial tree service in, you've got a pile of brush that you can't get in this room. So, I mean, I think you ought to use common sense to pick it up.
Let me give you another analogy.
Okay?
Let's say that you bought a brand new lot. And there are no brand new lots. Let's say you're the owner of a lot in the city of LaFollette that's covered with trees. And you intend on building a house. I don't think the taxpayers should have to pay for the removal of those trees.
I agree 100%.
Because you were developing that property.
I agree.
Increase the value of the property.
Well, they chose to buy the property, put a house on, they know what's there. They should put that in their budget for the construction process.
And normally it is.
Now, with that being said, you're talking about cutting lots of trees. There's some houses in LaFollette that have so many trees it would take 3 days to haul them out. If they decide to cut all those trees, how do we set the restrictions to protect us?
Agree.
You know, we had a diameter issue. I think one of the issues was some of the bigger logs were getting into the brush.
Yes.
So, the brush, I agree with you on brush, it should pick it up, and I don't have a problem with that, but I think the problem was on equipment, it was hard on the equipment, and the big logs, or even, some of the logs are that big around, whatever. That was the intention of it, was to keep from taxing
We
our
got some
equipment.
48-inch trees in this town.
Yeah, we just can't handle that. I think that was
And we shouldn't have to.
right. But it's hard, to be honest with you. I agree with you. It's hard to do the commercial versus non-commercial. That's hard to do, but that's the purpose
I
of it.
understand all the way away from the commercial. I'm not residential.
I know, but using a
Contractor.
contractor, I say commercial, but using a contractor, that was the purpose of that, because the logs kept on getting bigger and bigger, and I think Jim was here when we tried to discuss it last time. It was just, his equipment was getting beat to death, throwing logs in there this big around, and so that's the purpose of that. But, for brush, I don't think it was intended to stop the
So
brush.
how does the policy read?
I haven't looked at it in a while, to be honest with you, but I thought that
I don't think it's an open brush.
I don't know, I ain't seen the policy.
it's our code, by the way, it's not a state law.
They
It's our
won't take
code.
nothing over 12 or 14 inches in diameter.
at the dump. They
So,
won't,
and
they
that's
won't
what
accept
we're
it.
limited to.
And it
That's
has
what
to,
we're,
and it has to be 10 foot.
yeah, or 10 foot long. That's what they want.
Are you hearing a lot of complaints from people not getting their trash, their debris picked up on?
Brush?
Yeah.
No, not really. We've had a few people clean some lots off. I told them to get the brush, put the logs. And what the problem was, this pile it on one big pile. Like take piece of equipment, and I mean just
Hard on.
Ain't nothing left.
And the brush truck don't have the power. I mean, it can pick up, a lot of power, a lot of weight, but it can't go through and pull it when a machine is just, you take a dozer and, you can't.
Once you reread it, go over with Casey, go over it with Mr. Troutman, and see if there's anything that we need to change on it.
We don't ask
And then I'd
nobody.
like a copy of that,
You know,
so that I can read it verbatim to people in comment.
It's not state law, it's
While
our code.
we're on,
Yeah, it's our code.
while we're on the subject of that, Casey, let me ask you a question. I think some letters may have been sent out, or either verbal, exchange about cleaning up some yards, garbage, just trash laying around all over the yards. Some of that got cleaned up. I went by one place, and they had a pile of garbage bigger than this table, rounded up. But it wasn't bagged up. What kind of problem does that create you and your men?
Well, it's hard for the garbage truck just to, pick up loose. We don't pick up loose on the truck. It's either bags or cans.
Needs to be contained.
And we can go back. It ain't easy,
The
but
brush truck gets it.
the brush truck will get
I
it.
went back by this particular house, and right after this hard rain, most of it
It's in the
Everywhere.
ditch.
was in ditches, all over the road.
For the next
500 feet
block.
down the road.
Hopefully Mr. Duncan's gonna take care of this.
They'd actually build a makeshift.
It's worse now than
Yeah.
it was before they did.
And we cleaned it up, but now it's just, it's a whole city block, just loose garbage, before I worked with Stan and Daniel, and they would send letters, and then give them so long, then we'd actually go in the yard and actually pick it all up and mow it if it needed mowed. That was kind of the policy.
But if they clean up and they don't call you, you don't know about it.
Right,
That's
yeah,
why
yeah.
you can't pick it up.
No,
Wild animals, domestic animals, birds. At one time, we had discussed people not putting things out on the side of the road until the day of the scheduled pickup. And I think that we should revert back to that.
That's in code.
I see stuff laying there for 3 weeks.
Listen, I can take you to some places now and show you some mattresses and things that's been laying for probably a month now. I bet they weighed so much you couldn't pick one of them up.
Well, nobody's called the city or the street department, they wouldn't have.
Well, this
So we depend on neighbors and.
This is on private property, and Waste Management empties the dumpsters. They threw these mattresses down around the dumpster, and those guys won't
Waste
get out of the
management don't get
truck.
out of the truck.
They won't get out of the truck.
They're not allowed to.
Those mattresses are laying there, though, they've been laying there forever.
Hopefully this part of the city clean up.
I hope so.
One more quick thing. I'd like to thank Casey, Jimmy, and the chief for a great job they did during another flood occurrence in the city of LaFollette.
They did a great job.
And the great cow beef roast that we almost had on Central Avenue. Jimmy's new nickname is Tex.
They ain't got hurt you. No, the cows got hurt you tomorrow.
They were fine. Although they rejected the cattles in Wyoming, said they wouldn't buy them because they had smoke eye. Now, if anybody knows what smoke eye is, I'd like to know. It's not on the internet.
I seen them unloading yours down there, back in when they were unloading cows.
But you guys, as usual, did an outstanding job, too. Thank you very much.
Mark, there's one thing you're saying about the locks on the dumpsters.
Yes, sir.
You say waste management, we get out and lock the locks.
They're automatic. The
What's
truck-
automatic?
The truck can unlock them when it pulls up to
It
it.
does what? Well, I thought you were talking
What
about
I've been
padlocks.
told.
What kind of lock you talking about?
They're a special lock that you rent along with the dumpster.
Okay, they got that now.
They have that. I've talked with several of these companies that own dumpsters, one locally, and they're available to all these people.
It's
You
on the,
cannot-
on the lid,
Yeah.
not on the
But
slide.
you
Not on
cannot
the
open it up,
sides.
you get it on, you can't open it up.
That's correct.
Unless it's raised up and goes into the truck,
That's
it opens up
correct.
automatically.
Now, the locks on the sides, the property, or whoever's renting
Right.
them, will have to, they'll have to contend with that, and it's not a real happy thing to have to do, is unlock a lock when it's pouring rain, you take the trash out, but I think it would be beneficial to us.
Well, it would be beneficial. But like the, Wayne's talking about the mattresses laying there, they're not gonna get out and pick nothing up.
No. Believe it or not, I'm finished.
Did I have anything? Did I
Sorry
have
about that.
anything else for you? I'm finished.
Michael?
I'm good.
Philip?
I'm good.
Stephanie? All right, I'm like Mark, I want to thank all the council for all you all did Saturday and Sunday for this flood. Appreciate all you all. I want to thank Jimmy Pack and his group, Johnny Birch and his group. They done great over there at the Dewey Hunter Center. Police Department, Street Department, EMS,
Rescue squad.
Rescue Squad. Even Kelly Jo texted Jimmy Pack, wanted to know if we needed anything, should bring it out to us. Appreciate everybody for all they done.
Great community effort.
Absolutely. One other thing, don't forget the Easter egg hunt Friday, the 2nd at 10 o'clock. It'll start at Liberty Park, and then we'll come over to Sargent Park.
What age group first?
8 and up will be first over at Liberty Park.
Well, you're giving out accolades. Mark did a lot during the flood. I mean, he helped get that cattle trailer out of the middle of the road.
I don't want to be called Tex, so let's find that out.
And get it down there, and along with everybody else that was thinking, I'd like to thank him too, because I standing out beside him. And he said, let's go get whatever, and I think he and Casey went and did it. But I mean, they didn't have anything to get it out in the middle of the road with.
They had the fire put out, we didn't have to call any dead cows off. That's a good thing.
What did the fire start?
That was a real good.
Brakes locked up on the
Is that what
truck.
it was?
I'm sure there's a wheel still leaking a little grease there too.
Didn't mean to feel for the bin, or at least get my motor.
Yeah, but well, I was there at the house that happened, and the house below me there, Bobby Van's rental house caught on fire.
That's where they were on.
That's where they were, all once they, whoop,
They left there and went to the
They left.
cattle truck.
yeah, but they had that under control though.
You got anything else?
Oh, have a great week.
We're done.